Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Miss Evans Ogochukwu, and in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to draft a basic shirt from the scratch. So guys, if this is your first time watching my video, you are highly welcome. Please subscribe, click on the notification button, and so guys, let's get the work started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to draw my starting line, which is also called my shoulder line. Guys, I'm making a straight line with my meter rule. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure from my shoulder line to my armhole line. I'm going down by 9 inches. The next one is to find my bust point, which is from my shoulder to my bust. I'm going in by 10 inches, and the next one is from my shoulder to my waist, which is 16 inches. I've made the mark, guys. Then the next one is from my shoulder to the full length of the shirt. I made this of 23.5 inches. So guys, I'm now connecting with a straight line with my meter rule. This is it, guys. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to find my neckline. My neck width, I'm going in by 2.5 inches. I'm going to make a mark. Then my neck length or my neck depth is 1 inch. I used my meter rule and made a straight line to connect the lines together. And the next thing I'm going to do is to make use of my French curve and make my neckline curve. Okay, so this is it, guys. I'm making my neckline curve right now. And I'll make sure that the French curve sits perfectly. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure my shoulder. Okay, the shoulder that I'm using is 17 inches. I divided it by 2. It gave me 8.5 inches. I'm going to mark it from that my neckline from my center front. Okay, so I'm now making the line 8.5 inches. So I'm using my meter rule to connect it down to my armhole line. So this is it, guys. I've connected it. The next thing that I'm going to do is to go down by 1 inch from that my shoulder line, connect it to my neckline. This is for my shoulder slanting. Okay, I wouldn't want my fabric to be hanging at the shoulder. So I now went down from that my 1 inch that I just made. I went down from that 1 inch to my armhole line. I got 8.5. So I divided it by 2 equal parts. It gave me 4.2. I am going to mark it, guys. So guys, I'm now using my French curve to make my armhole curve. Okay, make sure that the French curve is sitting perfectly at your armhole line. Please don't go down to the bust point. Okay, sorry, my marker is a bit faint, but let me make the line thicker so you understand what I'm saying. So this is it, guys. The next thing that I'm going to do is to take my measurements. I'll take my bust measurements. The bust measurement that I'm using is 40 inches. Divided by 4, it gave me 10 inches. I'm going to make a mark to indicate it. Then add my 2 inches for my stitching allowance. I've made my 2 inches, okay? The next one is measuring of my waist. I'm using 34.5 inches divided by 4. It gave me 8.5. I am going to place it at my waistline. Then make a mark and add also my 2 inches allowance for my stitching allowance. Okay, so this is it. I am now making the mark. Then the next one is my hip measurement. Since my shirt is very long and it reached to the hip point, I'm now taking my hip measurement, which is 42. I took my hip measurement, I divided it by 4. If you can't make use of your calculator, you can make use of your tape and divide as well. So I now divided it, make my mark, and added my 2 inches extra for my stitching allowance. Okay, so this is it, guys. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is to connect the lines together with my meter rule. Okay, so I'm now connecting it straight from the armhole to the waist and from the waist to the hip line. Okay, so guys, I want my shirt to be a bit curvy, so I'm using my French curve to make a little slanting in order to make my shirt. I don't want it to be straight, I want it to be curved, so I curved it a bit. So guys, this is it for our back pattern. So the next thing that I did now is cutting out. I am cutting it out now, guys. So this is how it looks like for my back pattern. Okay, I now labeled it. So guys, the next thing I did was I brought out a plain pattern. I placed my back pattern on top of the plain pattern, but what I did was I kept it 2 inches away from the center front. Okay, make sure that it is 2 inches away from the center front. All right, so this is it, guys. I'm now making use of my pin to pin it up. Sorry guys, I ran short of seal tape, but if you have a seal tape, you can make use of your seal tape. Okay, so guys, I'm now using my pin to pin it up to make sure that it is balanced. All right guys, sorry, I don't have a seal tape, so I'm now pinning it up. Okay, make use of your pin or make use of your seal tape if you have one. So now guys, I'm making sure that it sits perfectly on top of the new pattern that I just brought out. Okay, I'm now using pin to pin it up. I'm pinning it up now guys. So guys, this is it. I think I'm done with my pinning. So the next thing that I will do now is to make sure that I measure it again to make sure that it's 2 inches away from the center front. Now I use my scissors to cut it at the side front with my measurement, with my initial measurement. So guys, the next thing I did, I placed a meter rule at my neckline to make sure that the line is straight before cutting it out, so that it's not going to affect us while measuring for our neckline. Okay, so this is it guys. So I'm now going down by 4 inches from my center front at my neckline. I went down by 4 inches. Okay, so guys, the next thing I did was to remove my pins. After removing my pins, I am now going to make a curve for my front piece. But before we remove the back pattern, make sure you use your marker to indicate where your neckline for your back pattern started. Okay, so this is it guys. I've made a mark to indicate it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to use my meter rule to make a straight line to join the lines together. Okay, the next thing I will do now is to get my French curve and make a curve for my neckline. Okay, this is for my center front. So guys, I'm now making the curve. If you don't have a French curve, you can free sketch, but girl, please make sure that your hand is perfect, your sketching is perfect. Okay, I'm now making use of my scissors to cut it out. I'm now cutting out that my new neckline for my front piece. So this is it guys. I think I'm done here. I'm now going to label it. This is my front piece. Okay, so now I am going to go in by 2 inches from that my neckline to indicate my buttonhole space. So guys, I'm now going in by 2 inches from my neckline, this to indicate my buttonhole space. So I'm going to use my scissors to make a tiny notch to indicate where my buttonhole space is going to be, and I'm also going to do it to the length of the shirt. I am going in by 2 inches as well. I will make a small notch to indicate my buttonhole space. So this is it guys. I will use my scissors to make a tiny notch to indicate it. So guys, this is it for my front piece. Okay, and the next one is my back piece. Look at it guys. So guys, let's draft out our sleeve. We normally make use of 4 inches for drafting of my sleeve, so but we are going to be going in by 7 inches here because this is a puffy sleeve and it's also a bishop sleeve as well. So I went down by 4 inches for my bicep, sorry, 4.5 inches for my bicep. I marked it. Then that space that I just made, I'm going to divide it by 2. It gave me 2.2, and I'm going to make a mark. So guys, I'm taking the whole pattern paper measurement because this is a puffy and also a bishop sleeve as well. So I'm making use of the whole pattern paper measurement. Okay, I want the puff to be too big. So guys, I'm now taking the whole measurement. So I'm now making a curve to indicate my sleeve. I am now sketching it. I'm making use of free sketch guys. So I will be going down by 17.5 inches for the length of my sleeve. I want my band to be a little bit high, so I went down by 17.5 inches. I made my mark. So the next thing I'm going to do now guys is to cut it out. Okay, so I'm cutting out. This is it for my sleeve. Then for my band, I brought out a pattern paper. I measured it by length, 6.5 inches by length. Then by width, I measured it by 10 inches. Okay, this is the band that we are making use of. Okay, if you can see, the band is a little bit higher. I want it to be long. Okay, so this is it guys. I'm not going to indicate it as band. So this is it for the pattern drafting. Okay, that's my sleeve. All right, but make sure that you fold your pattern paper into two before drafting your sleeve. So the next one is my back pattern, and this is my front pattern. Guys, I'll be drafting my collar in my next tutorial, which is my sewing tutorial. Please guys, I'm hoping to see you there. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye.